From goalkeepers literally cutting themselves with razor blades to players infiltrating women's teams with fake identities, these are the moments players got caught cheating. From career-ending scandals to emotional incidents that left entire nations questioning everything they thought they knew about fair play. We're talking about men masquerading as women, players biting opponents like vampires, and referees so corrupt they sparked government investigations. Buckle up for 30 moments that prove some players will literally do anything to win. And first up, we have a penalty spot destroyer. With Cologne awarded a penalty, Augsburg goalkeeper Marvin Hitz had a problem. Anthony Modeste rarely missed from the spot, and everyone knew he'd score. So when the referee wasn't looking, Hitz found a creative solution. He literally kicked up chunks of the penalty spot to make it uneven. Modeste slipped during his roundup and skied the ball over the bar. The goalkeeper celebrated like he'd made a legitimate save, but the cameras caught everything. Speaking of sabotage, this next player took cheating to a whole new level. This goalkeeper committed the ultimate foul and was about to receive a red card, but he could only think of one thing. He pretended to be dead. Not injured, not unconscious, literally dead, lying motionless on the ground while his teammates gathered around him in fake concern. The referee was confused, but eventually he had to abandon his Oscar-worthy performance and accept the red card. Sometimes the cover-up is worse than the crime. From fake death performances to gender deceptions, this next scandal rocked an entire sport. 8 players on Iran's women's national football team had a secret. They were men. For months, they completed in international women's football without anyone discovering the truth. Playing fully covered made detection nearly impossible, but eventually, league officials caught on. The scandal threatened to destroy years of progress in women's football. When you're willing to deceive an entire gender just to play football, you've redefined cheating. But that trick was small compared to this next insane moment. This man convinced Southampton's manager he was George Weah's cousin and a seasoned international player. After one training session, they knew he couldn't play, but injuries forced them to give him a Premier League debut anyway. When Southampton contacted the real George Weah, he'd never heard of Ali Dia. The imposter had conned his way from amateur football to the Premier League using nothing but lies and confidence. Bro literally faked his way into the world's biggest league. He's either a genius or completely insane. Speaking of insane, this next player's personal life became a public nightmare. England's Kyle Walker wasn't just defending on the pitch. He was juggling 2 separate families off it. While married to Annie with 3 children, he secretly fathered 2 more with his mistress. When the truth exploded into headlines, his mistress sued for a $2 million home, $33,000 monthly support. The scandal reached peak chaos when Annie announced she was pregnant with her 4th child amid the controversy. When you're running more families than football formations, something's gotta give. From personal scandals to calculated performances, this Champions League moment was pure theater. Italy versus Belgium, Euro 2021 quarterfinal. Ciro Immobile went down like he'd been hit by a truck, rolling around in apparent agony. Medical staff rushed over, and then Italy scored. Suddenly, Immobile jumped up, celebrating like nothing happened. The transformation was instant. Bro literally healed in seconds. Even the commentators were laughing. Raheem Sterling deserves an Oscar for his theatrical masterpiece. Racing into the penalty area, he threw himself to the ground after the defender's shadow barely touched his shirt. The way he faked that foul was crazy. He rolled on the ground like he got hit by a truck, but no one even touched him. The ref fell for it and gave a penalty. If you can turn thin air into a penalty kick, you're dangerous. And speaking of dangerous, this next guy picked up yellow cards like they were collector's items. This guy somehow got 3 yellow cards in one match and stayed on the pitch. After the second one, he knew he should have been sent off, but the ref forgot, and instead of saying anything, he just kept playing like nothing happened. It wasn't until his 3rd yellow that the ref finally caught on. Whether that's smart or shady depends on how you see it, but if you're out here confusing referees and bending the rules, you've unlocked a whole new level of cheating. And speaking of bending the rules, this next coach turns sneaky tactics into an art form. Jose Mourinho knew Xabi Alonso was a yellow card away from missing a game, so sent his assistant out with a water bottle, not for hydration, but to secretly tell Alonso to get himself sent off on purpose. It was a throwaway match, so the plan was simple. Take the red card now, be fresh for the important games later. And Alonso played it perfectly. That was brains. Now, let's talk style, because this Brazilian turned penalty kicks into performance art. Young Neymar didn't just score penalties. He messed up the whole system. His little stutter before kick-in was so tricky that goalkeepers stopped trying to dive. After he scored 5 in a row with no one even moving, FIFA held an emergency meeting and banned his technique for life. When your penalty style is so good that FIFA has to change the rules, you've achieved legendary status. But penalty revolutions are nothing compared to this next player's water bottle wizardry. This Norwich goalkeeper had the ultimate cheat code written on his water bottle showing where each player usually aimed their penalties. During the shootout, he checked it before every kick and started making saves like clockwork. It worked, and Norwich moved on to the next round. We all need to get ourselves a bottle like that so we can work on our next level like Norwich. But this next moment shows just how far some players will go. Andre Onana got caught with a slippery secret: petroleum jelly coating his goalkeeper gloves for extra grip. Fans thought he was breaking rules, but technically, nothing in the rule book prohibits this advantage. People started talking when replays showed the ball weirdly sticking to his gloves. Turns out, he might have used medical glue to get an advantage. But even that doesn't top the embarrassment this next player faced in El Clasico. In the biggest match in Spanish football, Vinicius Jr. tried to buy a penalty out of thin air in Barcelona's penalty area. The dive was so pathetic that he wanted to fight Barcelona players when they called him out, rolling like he got sniped while no one touched him. In El Clasico, that's just shameful. If you love football, you don't do that. Speaking of shame, this next moment involved the GOAT himself. Young Lionel Messi was already being compared to Maradona when he decided to honor his idol in the worst way possible. Against Espanyol in the Catalan Derby, trailing 1-0, Messi punched the ball into the net with his fist, just like a hero. The referee missed it completely, and Messi had channeled the hand of God. When football's future GOAT is copying legendary cheating moves, the circle is complete. But still, that can't be compared to what our other GOAT did. Real Madrid versus Manchester City, Champions League semifinal. When a cross came towards Cristiano Ronaldo, he panicked and slapped it away like he was playing volleyball. The referee spotted it immediately and called a foul. For a split second, the greatest player alive forgot what sport he was playing. The look of realization on his face was priceless. Even legends have brain fades. When pressure makes you switch sports mid-game, you know you've lost your mind. Speaking of losing minds, Barcelona needed to overturn a 4-0 deficit against PSG in the most impossible Champions League comeback ever. Their solution? Turn the match into a diving competition. First, Neymar threw himself into Thomas Manure for a phantom penalty. Then Suarez followed with his own Academy Award performance, winning another spot kick through pure theater. The 6-1 comeback became legendary, but it was built on cheating. If you have to cheat twice to make history, it doesn't really count. From dirty wins to strange injuries, this next one was actually innocent. After a grueling Champions League match and long flight, Andre Onana had a splitting headache. He grabbed pills from his medicine cabinet without checking. They were his wife's pregnancy medication containing banned substances. A routine drug test caught it, and despite being a genuine mistake, UEFA suspended him for a full year. When simple headache medicine turns into a doping ban, you know the rules don't play around. But honest mistakes are nothing compared to this player. Real Madrid versus Barcelona, and Dani Alves was ready for his close-up. When Pepe gave him the slightest push, Alves launched himself backwards like he'd been shot from a cannon. Arms flailing, legs akimbo. He hit the deck with a thud heard around the world. The referee bought it completely and sent Pepe off. Where's his Academy Award? The performance was so over the top, it became legendary. When you're turning light touches into athletic disasters, you've mastered the craft. From light touches to heavy consequences, what Mo Salah did shocked everyone. Liverpool versus Manchester City, and Mohamed Salah was desperate to end his team's horrible losing streak at home. When he couldn't find a clear goal, he decided to buy one instead. His dive was so dolphin-like, it became an instant meme. The way he threw himself through the air, you'd think he was auditioning for SeaWorld. Sometimes, desperation makes you do stupid things. When one of the world's best players is flopping like a fish, the game has problems. Speaking of problems, this next moment started international incidents. World Cup qualification was on the line between Egypt and Senegal. When Mohamed Salah stepped up for the crucial penalty, a Senegalese fan pulled out a laser pointer and aimed it directly at his eyes. Salah missed by miles, sending Senegal to Qatar 2022 instead of Egypt. The referee ignored the obvious cheating that altered two countries' World Cup destinies. When laser beams decide World Cup qualification, technology has weaponized cheating. But this next player was a living vampire. Luis Suarez didn't just bite once. He made it a career habit spanning multiple countries and competitions. First victim, Otman Bakal at Ajax in 2010. 7-match ban. Second course, Branislav Ivanovic at Liverpool in 2013. 10-match ban. Main meal, Giorgio Chiellini at the 2014 World Cup. 4-month ban from all football. 3 bites, 3 bans, and a reputation as football's most infamous cannibal. Barcelona even included an anti-biting clause in his contract. When you're treating opponents like a buffet menu, you've gone off track. But teeth are nothing compared to razor blades. Chile needed to beat Brazil to qualify for the 1990 World Cup. When a Brazilian fan threw a flare that landed near goalkeeper Roberto Rojas, he saw it as an opportunity for the ultimate con. The flare never touched him, but Rojas had a razor blade hidden in his glove and cut his own face, creating a bloody mess that stopped the match. Chile demanded Brazil be disqualified for fan violence. FIFA investigated, discovered the truth, and banned Rojas for life. Bro literally damaged his face, and then FIFA damaged his career, but self-harm is nothing compared to when Spain needed to beat Malta by 11 goals to qualify for the Euros, an impossible task. Leading just 3-1 at halftime, Malta players ate oranges provided by Spanish officials. The second half was a disaster. Malta's players were so sick they could barely move, and Spain took full advantage, scoring 9 more goals to win 12-1. Malta blamed poisoned oranges. Spain denied everything, and the truth died with the participants. That was a mess. But this next moment shocked millions. Brazil versus Turkey, 2002 World Cup group stage. Leading 2-1 with minutes remaining, Rivaldo needed to waste time. When a Turkish player lightly tapped the ball toward him, Rivaldo collapsed like he'd been shot by a sniper. The way he rolled around, you'd think he'd needed emergency surgery. Medical staff rushed out, and just when Turkey lost possession, then Rivaldo miraculously recovered. FIFA fined him $11,500, but the damage was done. When you fake injuries at the World Cup, the whole world is watching. Speaking of the whole world watching, this next handball changed football forever. France versus Ireland, World Cup playoff. In extra time, with both teams tied, Thierry Henry used his hand to control the ball before passing for the winning goal. The handball was obvious, but the referee didn't see it. Ireland's World Cup hopes were crushed. Their football group asked for a replay, and it almost turned into a political problem. Henry's handball didn't just break rules, it broke hearts. From drama on the field to problems behind the scenes, this next match raised even bigger problems. This Champions League semifinal didn't just have bad refereeing, it had impossible refereeing. 4 clear penalties denied, multiple handballs ignored, and decisions so biased they sparked corruption theories. The referees missed calls so obvious that children could see them. After the match, Chelsea players surrounded the officials in disbelief. Some say money changed hands. Others say it was just incompetence. Either way, it was the most controversial match in Champions League history. When 4 game-changing calls all go against you, something's not right. But this next moment was pure calculated violence. Real Madrid versus Liverpool, Champions League final. Sergio Ramos had studied the tapes and knew Mo Salah was Liverpool's biggest threat. His solution? Take him out early. The way he locked Salah's arm and brought him down was pure judo. Salah was done for the night. Liverpool lost their star player and Real Madrid won 3-1. Ramos later claimed it was accidental, but the footage tells a different story. When you're willing to injure the opposition's best player to win, you've crossed the line. But calculated injuries pale next to this next player's rolling revolution. Neymar's theatrical rolling and diving at the 2018 World Cup became the tournament's biggest story. Every slight touch triggered minutes of writhing, screaming convulsions that looked like exorcisms. The internet exploded with memes. Children worldwide started copying his moves, and even KFC made commercials mocking him. His rolling became more famous than his goals, turning him into football's biggest joke. When fast food chains are making commercials about your cheating, you've transcended sport and entered comedy. But comedy is nothing compared to this next tragedy that broke a continent. Last minute of extra time. Ghana versus Uruguay. World Cup quarterfinal. History beckoned. No African team had ever reached the semifinals. The header was perfect. Goal bound. Until Luis Suarez played goalkeeper. Both hands. Clean handball. Red card and a penalty was awarded. Justice seemed possible. Then Asamoah Gyan missed. Uruguay won on penalties. An entire continent's dreams died with that miss. Suarez walked off like a villain to the world, but a hero to Uruguay. When your cheating destroys a continent's World Cup dreams, you've achieved legendary villain status. But even legendary villains bow to the ultimate cheating moment. Argentina versus England, World Cup quarterfinals. Diego Maradona rose to meet Peter Shilton's cross and punched the ball into the net with his fist. Right in front of the referee, he celebrated like nothing happened, later claiming it was scored a little with the hand of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. The goal stood, Argentina won, and Maradona's cheating helped deliver a World Cup. Even the Queen of England was reportedly furious. The audacity was breathtaking. When your cheating becomes known as divine intervention, you've achieved immortality through infamy. These 30 moments prove that football's dark side can be just as memorable as its beautiful moments. From razor blade self-mutilation to referee corruption conspiracies, these incidents remind us that some players will literally sacrifice anything to win, whether it's biting opponents, faking deaths, poisoning rivals, or manipulating officials. Because in football, there's always another scandal waiting to break our hearts.